everybody. Welcome to Hallmarkies podcast. This is really exciting today. We are flinging into spring with the Spring Fling 2021 on Hallmark Channel. We are previewing these movies and also the mysteries in March and April. So it's going to be very fun. We always love doing these previews for y'all. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Today, I have a very special guest. The first time on the podcast, we have Bree from Falling for Romance on Instagram here with us. And thank you so much, Bree, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! So, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience the first time on the podcast and tell us a little bit about what you do on your Instagram.
So over on Instagram, I talk about romance novels. I started reading them, actually, thanks to Hallmark in 2017. I was watching a film that year. I think it was Dashing Through the Snow, which is based off of a Debbie Maycomber novel.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I watch these movies every year, but I've never actually read a romance novel. So I went to the library because, once upon a time we could physically go to the library. And I checked out some romance novels by her, and I have not turned back since. So that's what you will mostly see over on Instagram. And I'm so thankful for Twitter. I'm not that active on there, but I get to meet and chat with all the Hallmark fans. I basically set one up for Saturday night for premieres. So that's been a joy to kind of explore and get to know more people. So that's me.
Yeah, Hallmark Twitter. People are really missing out if they're not on Twitter. It is a fun place to be, which you can't say that about much of Twitter, but it is true.
Yes.
And they have a lot of fun with the live tweeting and a lot of times the stars are there live tweeting and it's a lot of fun. And so you found Hallmark first, romance novel second.
Yes.
Yeah. And what do you like about Hallmark? And then we'll talk a little bit more about the romance novels, but what was your initial first draw to Hallmark?
Well, I think that, so going way back to when I was a kid, all the women in my family, I remember them being huge Lifetime watchers. And that was too intense for me, but I really realized early on how important it was to have your thing as a woman. They all Sunday night was watching Lifetime. So as I got older, my husband and I were both active duty Air Force, and I got us orders to come to San Antonio. So I left Georgia, where I had been for 7 years, and we moved to Texas, and I knew nobody here. And I was like, I need something. So I started watching Hallmark movies. I think I actually started in the fall. It was fall harvest time. And I was like, these movies are beautiful. It just gave me something to do. And I was like, okay, I found my thing.
Yeah. That's how they get you. They draw you in.
Yeah.
Fall harvest, one movie. Oh, maybe 4, maybe 5. Oh, now I'm watching 40 Christmas movies. Before you know it.
I think we were getting I think back then I might have seen 4 fall harvest. And then literally the day after Halloween, Christmas movies started, and they were not playing as many as they play now. But it became my thing. I don't know. And I love it now because I actually get to chat with people about it. It was kind of lonely back then, so.
Yeah, we just did the On Friendship on Christmas Under Wraps, me and Elisa, because she was a former Lifetime person as well, and we reformed her. Yeah, we reformed her, and so we were reviewing Christmas Under Wraps, and and we figured out that year, I think it was 2015, they had 13 movies.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So in just over 5 years, they've gone from 15 to 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to kill me. I think that I really, at this point.
I remember on Instagram, somebody made this template, and they were like, how many Christmas movies have you watched? And it was the very beginning of December. And I was putting all these pictures of the Hallmark movies I had watched up to that point, and they're like, you've watched that many? I was like, look, Hallmark has 40 that are coming out. Yes. We were getting one
that's not even any repeats.
I still have more to go. I'm we have one on Hallmark Channel, and then we get one on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. An hour later, Like, I'm on it.
Yeah. So what does your husband think you watched all these Hallmark movies?
He he knows it's my thing. At first, he gave me a hard time, but I think he's really interested in seeing some of, like, the actors he's used to transitioning over to Hallmark, but
Right.
it's just like
Mhm.
he knows it's my thing, and he just, brings my glass of wine and keeps it moving.
Yeah. I think that Ben Savage was a big one of those kinds
Oh,
of kind of converts
yeah.
this last season, don't you think?
I
Like,
love
"Oh, he's on Hallmark. It's so
seeing him.
exciting."
Yes. Oh, and that movie was so good. It was so good. I
It
love
was really
seeing him.
cute. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, Corey Matthews is on the Hallmark Channel. This is
Oh
so
my
exciting.
gosh, I know. Still has the curls, the curly hair. I'm like,
Yeah, he does.
he looks the exact same.
Well, and he was so in that movie, he was so, like, upfront and, like, clear on his goals and purpose. There was no, like, enemies to lovers or, like, anything like that. He was just like, "I wanna date you.
Yeah,
Here's the
I know.
Are you interested?" It was so cute.
That was one of the
Yeah.
best, I think. Oh gosh, that movie was so good. Like, the whole family history part. I was like, "I was not expecting this."
Did you have a favorite of Countdown to Christmas?
You know what? Gosh, that one, it was like Jingle Bell Bride came out, and I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be tough to beat." And then the next one would come out, and then was it Cross Country Christmas? Cross Country Christmas was the last
Oh,
one,
yeah, Cross Country.
and I think that
That was one of the last ones, yeah.
that might have been my favorite. I was like, "This is the perfect way to,
Yeah.
like, end it."
Yeah, it was way better than I thought it was gonna be, that's for sure. And, ended up being very the biggest surprise one of the biggest surprises of the whole group, for sure. And for me, my favorite was Delivered by Christmas was my favorite.
Yeah.
It was so good. Ugh,
It
it was
was
so good.
last year, like, 2020's Countdown to Christmas made it really difficult to have a favorite. I mean, there were some duds, there were a couple of duds, but
Mhm.
I think for the most part, like, they were all really good. Like, I loved Holly and Ivy, which was really kind
Oh,
of a
so good.
tearjerker, but it was I loved Cranberry Christmas. It was beautiful. Like, that however they filmed
Yeah.
it and edited it, it was beautiful. So, yeah, we got lucky.
Mhm. Well, so you just fairly recently have gotten into romance novels and now that's what you do most on your Instagram. And how do you decide kind of what novels to read? There's so much in the romance novel uh genre, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you go about picking the books that you end up covering?
So I am what we in the like the reader world called a mood reader. I just really go off of my mood.
Uh-huh.
There are books that I'm kind of in the mood for all the time. Like, if it's, light and sweet, small town, I probably am in the mood for it all the time. I love romantic comedies all the time. So I really just kind of like read the summary and I'm like, yep, this sounds like it will be good. Sometimes you pick up books and it's like not the right time. I think timing is everything with books. So, I'll haul a book, like I'll
Yeah.
go to the bookstore and pick something up and I'm like, I really want to read this, but not right now. I'm going to save it for Christmas or I'll save it for October because it feels like it'll be a really good fall read or something like that. So I just kind of go with my mood, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's good to do. I find it sometimes a little bit difficult to I don't know, to find books that cuz it's one thing to watch a movie that's an R-rated movie. It's 2 hours of your life, but for a book where I was going to be reading for a couple of weeks cuz I'm not like such a fast reader and I just don't have that much time. I like to try taking things relatively clean, I guess, when I'm picking a book, and that can be challenging if it's not like from Hallmark
Yeah.
or some kind of clean publisher. That can be a challenge for me, and it depends on how it's done. But I don't know. I find things like that can be hard, make it hard.
Yeah. And I mean, I love Hallmark publishing. The few times that I've had like kind of a misstep is if you watch some of the movies and then they have a book come out after,
Yeah.
it's exactly the same as the movie. So I'm like, did I need to read this? I don't know, but
Right.
there are some amazing authors that write for Hallmark Publishing. So I'm definitely
Yeah.
like hoping that we get more from them.
Probably
So
my favorite of all the Hallmark publishing books is probably Royal Christmas Wish.
uh,
And I went into it not expecting it to be that great just because there's so many princess stories. But I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. And I thought that it was uh, a lot more clever than I expected.
you should try. I loved Dead End Detective by Amanda Flowers, one of the
Oh, I didn't
mysteries.
read that one.
It came out last year. It was really good. She's a very good mystery writer, so
Uh,
that one's definitely worth checking out.
so are you a fan of the mysteries as well as the rom-coms?
Oh yeah. Now, I just got into watching mysteries. I will say that. Like I started watching Picture Perfect Mysteries last like September and I was
Uh-huh.
hooked. And I was like, okay, where's the rest of these? So I was like on Google and I'm like, oh wow, there's only like 3 movies out. So I was like, this is perfect because I know a lot of them are like well into the series. So I'm like,
Yeah.
do you jump in at any moment
Well,
and you're fine?
especially Aurora Tea Garden. That's really the only one right now that has a lot of movies. I think
Yeah.
they have 17.
And I wanna
But
watch it because 'cause I'm like, "This is Candace, like, she's, like, the queen," but
yeah.
how ca I need to I don't wanna be missing out on those small details because I haven't watched
Luckily,
previous.
because I actually haven't even seen all of them, to be
Okay.
honest. I haven't caught up on all of them, but luckily you don't need to in order to kind of get what's going on. But I can see why you'd want to catch up as well. Though I think they're gonna have a marathon coming up pretty soon,
Well, I know where I'll
before
be.
this new movie.
I
But
hope.
but yeah, because they had Garage Sale Mysteries that was going on for a long time, but that got the axe.
Yeah. Yeah.
R.I.P. The rest I think have about 3 or 4
Okay.
so far. So it's pretty easy to get caught up.
Yeah, I got hooked on that, and then I got hooked on Martha's Vineyard Mysteries, which you all
Oh
talked in
yeah.
a recent episode about. What was the last one called? Ships in the
Ships,
Night?
yeah, something like that.
I love that series so much. I'm like, where is Dr. Z? I need a new episode already.
Because I wasn't on that episode, believe it or not. I actually haven't watched it yet.
You gotta
Because I
watch
wasn't on the recap and I've just been so busy, but I need to get with it. But
it.
but yeah, no, they're pretty fun. They really are. And they're a little bit easier to kind of believe than some of the others that are a little more far-fetched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because like Aurora Teagarden, she's a librarian, and the morning show mysteries, she's a morning show chef. And then the one with matchmaker mysteries, she's a matchmaker. Like you're a crossword puzzle editor. Like i- getting involved in crimes is a little more of a stretch
Yeah. I read a lot of
for
cozy
those.
mysteries, and that's very on brand for cozy mysteries. You're like,
Yeah,
how did this person become a sleuth? Like you own the Hannah Swenson series. I read her chocolate chip cookie murder, which I think is the first movie in that series.
yeah,
And I'm like, you own a bakery, Hannah. But I mean, it ended up being so good. So
yeah. But it's nice with the Martha's Vineyards though, because it's just so like natural. Just
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
But yeah, that's fun. And uh the thing that I've been struggling with thing that I've been struggling with reading is just for some reason under quarantine you think have want to read more, but I don't know. I feel like every time I sit down to read, I have a million distractions pulling
yeah.
me away, and I just feel like it's so hard to get like a book finished.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think there's that misconception that we all thought, okay, now I'm going to have all this time in the world because I'm at home all the time. And
yeah.
you really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Esther, I don't know if you read any Regency, but she is a Regency romance writer, and she just had a new book, and it took me like, I don't know, like 3 weeks to read it. I kept having to delay our interview with her because I'm like, I'm sorry, I haven't finished yet. It's so good. There's nothing to do with the book. I don't know, it's just hard to read these days, I feel like.
Well, I mean, and you probably see, I mean, so you're a film critic, so movies don't
Yeah.
take that long to consume, right? But like, you know, when you're like with books in the bookish world, like it used to take me 3 weeks to read a book too, and I was fine with that because that's what I
Yeah.
was used to. But then when you get into romance and like most of the books at the most maybe 350 pages, I also listen to a lot of them on audiobook. So if you put
Yeah.
a book at like 2 times speed and it's an 8 hour book, well, you can get through it in like 4 hours time. And as a mom, I just do laundry and wash dishes and sweep the
Yeah.
floor and I'm through it, but like I don't know if you ever feel like this with like do you ever feel like you're rushing cuz I do miss those days of like 3 weeks with a book.
Yes. Because I used to do that every single year. I would read all 5 Jane Austen novels. That was a
Really?
thing I did. And I miss that. I need to do it, but it's so hard to find the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because that's my is probably my favorite. I love reading the classics, and I love like
Yeah,
Regency romance and
I'm
novels.
not much of a Regency person, but I love like that whole like gothic trend that came because I love
Mhm.
Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. That's one of my all-time favorite
Oh
books.
yeah,
And
that's a
like
good one.
those like 60s and 70s covers of like the girl running away from the manor in the background. Like I collect those off of eBay. I love it.
Did you get into Bridgerton at all?
I have not watched Bridgerton. I read the first book and I didn't like it.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, it's so good, but it's very spicy. So
Okay.
be forewarned.
I'm excited because that show, it seems like it's really bringing people on board with romance
Yeah,
reading. And I'm hoping that that opens the door for more people to like also want to consume more romance on film. So we'll see.
do. All right. Well, we have Spring Fling coming up. And, last year, Spring Fling was like the last batch they got us before everything went nuts. And so we've come the full year. It's kind of crazy.
Isn't it crazy? Like it
Yeah.
was a year ago.
And so let's hope this year is better than last year and that these movies are better than last year's movies. My favorite last year was Just My Type with Bethany Joy in it. I don't know if you saw that. That one was pretty good.
Was Wedding Every Weekend, was that a spring movie from last year?
That was summer.
That was summer. Okay. Okay.
Summer, yeah. Was that was one of your faves last
Yeah,
year?
that was one of my favorites. See, last year was really the first year I think where previous to that, I really didn't watch Hallmark after Christmas. And like
Mhm.
last year, I needed it. I was like, what does
Yeah.
Hallmark have on? And then they played Christmas movies in March. They gave us like 2 weeks
Yeah.
of a marathon. And I was like, well, thank you for this. And yeah, now I think Hallmark has made me fall in love with all the seasons because like there's something new to expect. So yeah, I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to these.
I mean, it's so crazy because I remember when AMC theaters announced that they were going to be closed between, I think they said 2 to 6 weeks. And I was like, 6 weeks? What? Yeah, right.
Do you go to the
That's
movies a lot?
crazy.
Do you go to the movies?
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, I haven't been to the theater since I went to a private screening in December.
Okay.
But I mean, I have been so busy this year between covering Sundance and all the work I do for Hallmark. And then I had, I don't know, it just seems like there's just one thing after going on after another.
Can I
Got
ask
another
you a
film festival
question?
coming up this week.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
So, like,
please.
okay, I'm not a film critic, right? But like,
Uh-huh.
I told you my husband, he's a film student. So, like,
Okay.
I feel like the film world and the book world are kind of similar in certain ways. Like, in the book world, literary fiction is like the top notch, right? And as a romance reader, we're constantly having to defend romance. As a
Right.
film critic, like, how did you get into reviewing, Hallmark and romance? Like, I feel like stuff
Yeah.
that brings women joy is like so easily dismissed. So, like, how did you get into this?
And then, I mean, that's part of the reason why I want to do it, because I think it's important to have actual critical analysis in this space, because it is so easily uh, kind of ridiculed and criticized and not taken seriously. And so to have someone who does take it seriously is really important. And that's something that's always been important to me. And it just kind of happened. It was before I actually became a Rotten Tomatoes critic that the podcast started.
Okay.
It was in 2017. And my friend and I'd asked on my channel, Rachel's Reviews, I'd asked my if anybody wanted to talk about Anne with an E, which was on Netflix, and because I love Anne Green Gables, and my friend Amber agreed, and we both hated Anne with an E. Thought it was terrible, and so we were like, "Why can we cleanse the palate?" Like, oh, this is horrible, and so we decided to do a special episode on my podcast about Christmas in July and our favorite Hallmark Christmas movies. Well, it just went so well, and we had really good chemistry, and so we got such a great response from it that I thought, well, maybe there's something here. And so we decided to do a couple more episodes over on my channel, and then we decided, oh, there's such a response that we created its own podcast and own channel, and it just kind of went from there. And then I became a film critic on Rotten Tomatoes in 2019.
Okay.
So, and they found my writing on animation is how they found me, and because that's kind of my other love. And I feel like every film critic, you have to kind of get your niche established, if people know like you're the go-to for blank, fill in the
Yeah.
blank. And for me, it's definitely rom-coms, holiday films, and animation. Those are sort of my three, and I guess you could maybe say Disney as a fourth.
That is
And
awesome. I love it.
and so yeah, I'm very, very proud of everything I do. I mean, it definitely takes over my whole life. I have no life.
There are a lot of movies.
I just started watching this show called Kim's Convenience on
Okay.
Netflix. That is the most charming show. I absolutely love it. But I feel like I'm kind of sneaking it on the side because it doesn't have anything to do with any of my podcasts. I'm like, I never watch it.
Right. When does a film critic watch a movie for fun?
Never. So,
Are you able to
but
like take the critic hat off and just enjoy it? Or are you like writing reviews in your head that you don't even have to use?
sometimes I am, like, especially if it's like if I know that other people in the podcasts are going to be covering it, then I don't have to take notes, and it's a little more like, just relax. But I'm an analytical person by nature, so I can't completely turn that off.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a different experience when you're watching it, taking notes, thinking about what questions you're going to ask and what you're going to talk about. But anyway, so we have Spring Fling here coming up, and we have our preview that we do. And for the spring preview, we are going to be doing 1 to 4 flowers, excuse me. So a 1 is you're not really excited about it at all. 4, very, very excited. So
Okay.
that's how
Okay.
we're doing it. So don't hold back. All right, our first one, and we did preview this for our we thought we did preview this in our previous ranking Or sorry, we did preview this in our previous show with Dory because we thought it would be included there, but it's in Spring Fling. And so it's Chasing Waterfalls. The stars Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell, who have been in films together. They were in the Love in the Forecast last year, the Rain movie. And it's writers Jason Baroque, Tamara Junkin, and Christy Will Wolf, director Christy Will Wolf. And she's done a ton of stuff. And so, photographer Amy travels to a remote lodge to find mythical waterfalls and falls for the handsome guide Mark. They adventure to find the mystic waterfall and discover their true feelings. And the minute I read this summary, I started to laugh because there's nothing Hallmark loves more than a photographer. Like, it is the go to creative if they want to make their character kind of a creative type, right? She's a photographer.
Yeah.
There's so many. Like, who knew there was such a need for photographers
I know.
throughout it's such a profitable career path. No disrespect intended to photographers. It's just there's just such a large number.
Right. We are going to romanticize the heck out of it in our corner over here
Yeah.
for Hallmark.
Occasionally you'll have like a designer or event planner, but for
Yeah.
the most part, if you want them to be an artist, they're a photographer.
There we go.
And
This was like one of the
but
only ones that have like anything on YouTube to watch for. So
I know they're kind of slacking on that. Well, the behind the scenes video wasn't even from Hallmark, so this is definitely an acquisition.
okay.
This it was made by somebody in Canada probably a while ago. But what do you think when you first read that summary?
First off, I was like, magical, mythical waterfall.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
It's
But-
not just the mythical waterfall, it's the mythical and mystic waterfall.
Right. You know what? Just reading the summary, I have hopes because I think anything with adventure is definitely going to be a little bit loved because we've all been at home for so long. No one's really traveling. So off of that alone, I was a little bit excited, I will admit.
Yeah. I think the adventure part of it sounds fun.
Yeah.
And Cindy and Christopher are really nice. I like them both. They've both had their misses.
Yeah.
I mean, Cindy, her acquisitions were rough last year. They were not my favorite. Did you see the balloon movie?
Romance in the Air?
Yeah, you liked it? You're a big fan?
You didn't like it, Rachel? I wrote that down as like, I loved Cindy and Romance in the Air.
That's great. I love that. No, it was not my favorite.
Okay.
But I like the idea of balloons. But yeah, I thought the whole thing where they're just like switching partners at the last minute was so strange.
Yeah.
Where they're like, "Here, you can be with my friend now. I give you permission."
Well, so like Mark, what's his name? What's his name? Mark?
Christopher Russell playing Mark.
Okay.
Handsome guide.
So Mark is her name Amy? I like wrote her name down.
Amy. Yeah.
Amy. So Mark. So like what I'm excited is like anytime that the characters are working together for something. So like he's the guide and she's the photographer or whatever. I think that like the adventure part, like looking for the waterfall is going to be like the fun part, but then them working together just like forces them that forced proximity. I love that in romance. So
yeah,
I'm just like, that's going to be where we see all of the feelings developed and all the things. And the clip that we had, the film looks like it's going to be beautiful. So,
and I think Hunky Adventurer is like the sweet spot for Christopher Russell.
Yes. What was that? He was in Oh my gosh, Nature of Love. Did
Yeah.
you like that one, Rachel?
I I for the most part did like it, yes.
I was thinking that when I saw that he was in this one. I was like, he just does this like outdoorsy guy so well.
Yeah. No, that's his I think he's better at that than when he's trying to play, like, slick, kind of
Yeah.
business Mr. Business kind of characters. I think he's better at the, kind of more hunky guy kind of
Okay, so I shouldn't feel
characters.
bad then because like do you ever feel like there are roles that certain Hallmark actresses like, okay, you're really good at the nice girl, but like
Oh,
when you're playing
absolutely.
a snobby girl, it doesn't work that well.
Or vice versa. No, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, these movies are built on archetypes. They're built on tropes and how well those tropes are executed. And so you're going to have different actors who fit certain archetypes better. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, I think that that's definitely very true. And you do have those actors that seem to be able to go in and out very well of the different archetypes. Like I think Kimberly Susted is one who can seem to play the the more sassy characters and the sweeter characters like very well.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have ones that I don't know, like I feel like someone like Lacey Chabert needs to be very careful because when she plays a sincere, sweet character, she nails it. Like
Mhm.
last year, pretty much all of her roles very good. But when she tries to play, I don't know, like a little bit more unlikable character, it really backfires. Like I really did not like her Valentine's movie. It was like My Secret
My
Valentine or whatever
Secret
with Aunt.
Valentine?
No,
Rachel, I
I
love
really
that movie.
disliked that movie. I'm like, why is she being so mean to him? He's
She
just been nice to
was.
her the entire day. And she's like, oh, this annoying guy at work. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
And the whole time, it's the guy that she's being mean to is who she's, like,
Yeah.
writing letters back to and
There
forth.
was no reason for her to be so mean because he'd been so nice to her. And so that's why she irritated me. And so that she's someone I think has to be very careful about her roles that she takes. I mean, for the most part, I think Jen Lilly has done a good job picking
She's
roles.
she's the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah, but she has had some misses. I really did not like Snow Kissed
That was
recently.
awful. It
I,
was awful.
it took me 3 times to watch it. I thought it was just, ugh.
And I
And
think it
I,
just was, like, she's such a s when she's in a sweeter role, she's so good. I didn't
yeah,
like the whole like, my husband's from New York, so I kind of get it, like, no offense to New Yorkers, but, like, New York has everything, right? So, like, what else do you need to know but New York? But, like, that whole attitude of, like, "I'm a New Yorker." She did not
yeah.
it was
Well, and she
not
was
for
like
her.
Mrs. Corrector the whole time. That was like her character was like, sorry, you said that wrong, and oh, that was wrong. I'm
Yeah.
like, go away. But so I don't know. It's an interesting thing. But Christopher Russell, he's very good at that kind of archetype
Yeah.
of like the suave, very hunky kind of guy. And so this one, I'm gonna give it um I'm gonna give it 2 flowers. And I hope that it
2.
surprised me. Yes, just because Cindy's last few movies have not been my favorite, the acquisitions. And but I really like Christopher Wolf, and I I think I hope it'll be good. But yeah, I'm like right in the middle on it, but I'm gonna give it 2. What about you? 2 out of 4.
Well, I was gonna say 3.
Okay. No, that's perfectly good. Okay, good.
We just want to take a break from the show just to have a little check in before we go on in the show. So, we actually want to talk about our sponsor for this week, BetterHelp. In 2021, it's definitely okay to talk about your mental health, about your happiness. Humans aren't meant to keep everything inside. It can make us sick, and therapy helps. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now. Maybe you need some tools to help. Maybe you've got stress, insecurity, problems in your relationship, are not dealing well with things going on in your life. And that's what therapy can be.
And whatever you need, don't be ashamed. because normal humans struggle and they start to feel better, and that's okay. It's good to start to feel better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers you video, phone, or a live chat session with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
The good thing is BetterHelp is much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. See if it's for you, because you are your greatest asset.
So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Hallmarkies podcasts listeners can get 10% off of their first month of Better at betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies. That's betterhelp.com/Hallmarkies.
All right, next one we have Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and you almost want to start singing as soon as you hear that title, right? Yeah. Don't go breaking my heart. This is Italia Ricci, Ryan Pavey, This is Italia Ricci, Ryan Pavey, and Matthew James Dowden. And it's writer Nina Wyman, who we love.
Yeah.
And director Terry Ingram, who was our favorite director last year in the Hallmarkies Podcast Awards. And Nina was our favorite writer last 2 years running. And so that alone piques my interest. And we have Miranda runs a boot camp for the recently brokenhearted. She begins to form a connection with new client Ben, who is also an undercover reporter investigating whether her boot camp is a fad or a phenomenon. You gotta love these undercover reporters in these days where there's like where all the newspapers are severely understaffed. They're like, we're gonna send you to investigate this bridal boot camp.
Or just like some would have the mentality of like, we need to do real news. This is beneath us. So,
right.
But I mean, shout out to Nina, because I think I followed her because of the podcast, like retweeting something or something on Twitter. And I was like, I need to start following the writers. So, and I've watched a couple now that I know she has written, and she's becoming a favorite. She's good.
She is incredible. And she was actually our very first interview we ever did on the podcast way back in 2017. We interviewed her. And so it became kind of a thing I feel like our podcast is known for, of that we kind of celebrate the writers. And I love that. And so, yeah. And this has Matthew James Dowden as supporting, probably the wrong guy, I'm guessing. And he's one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. He is so funny and so interesting. Yeah, if you haven't listened to that interview, I highly recommend it. He's had like 3 or 4 different careers, and he was a magician and a lawyer, and now he's an actor, and he's just really great. So I hope he'll eventually get the lead role, because he's been the wrong guy a lot, and I hope that he gets the lead role because he's so fun. But yeah, what do you think about this idea of the bridal boot camp?
Well,
or the boot camp for the recently brokenhearted, excuse me.
So I'll be honest, I get a little nervous with reporters in the movies, because what I have kind of noticed a trend is like, the reporter goes on site for this story, and they may be on the same page as their boss, or they may not, but like the boss is always like in the background trying to sway the story, and then the boss does something, and that's the conflict. Like they realize they have feelings, something's growing, the boss is adamant about, you need to do this and you can get the promotion. And then the story is sent, the boss changes it, posts it, and now there's a conflict. And I'm like, I don't want to see that anymore. So I'm hoping that's not what this is. But what I'm like excited for is like, and I don't, maybe you're seeing this in movies a lot too, but like dating culture of like present day is really kind of in pop culture now. Like I'm seeing it in a lot of like romance novels and stuff, like dating apps and stuff like that. But you don't actually see anything about what happens when things don't work out. So I'm excited actually about the like brokenhearted boot camp.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. So you have Ryan Pavey playing the reporter, which is interesting. It's not the female character, it's the male character.
Yeah.
And he's usually, I think, best playing. He's the opposite of Christopher Russell. Like, he's the best playing your sort of Mr. Darcy archetypes, really kind of, professional and suave and charming, and that kind of an appeal. Yeah, so seeing him be in this boot camp is going to be a little different, but yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. I'm going to give it 3 out of 4 flowers.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 too, just because the actress is Italia. I haven't seen this is only like her 4th Hallmark movie. I want to
Yeah,
see more of her. Like I
yeah.
don't really know what to expect. But Ryan Pavey, I mean, he's amazing. A Timeless Christmas was like made for him.
Yeah, I think that her best was that, I think it was called To Rome with Love, I think is what it was called.
Oh yeah.
That was really good. I liked that. Or she played again, I think she played actress playing and it was kind of a take on Roman Holiday, sort of an homage. That was a
That
good
one
one.
was beautiful. Did you like Love in Winterland? Winterland.
I didn't like that
You didn't
one.
like that one?
No, I mean, that was the dating reality show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dating reality show where they don't have a single piece of lighting, not a single sound equipment, nothing. Like, come on. This is supposed to be a nationally syndicated show.
Yeah.
They don't have a single piece of lighting. It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much. Plus I thought that CMM was kind of a jerk in that movie.
Yeah.
So that one wasn't my favorite. I thought that Winterfest was not the best
Not that bad. Yeah. Love in Rome, like you said, I think
last year.
that one, Love in Rome, was like really good. So hopefully, this one kind of gives her a comeback. I want to see more of her. I don't know how I feel about her just yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be good. So, all right, next one. We have One Perfect Wedding. So this is our end of our little trilogy of the One Winter movies, and now this is in summer. One Perfect Wedding, Taylor Cole, Jack Turner, Rakia Bernard, Deshane Williams. We love all of these. I think it's directed by Gary Yates, who's done all of them. And it's with Kara leaving on an international book tour in 2 weeks, and Ben's business expansions keeping him busy. The couple decides they won't let work commitments postpone their nuptials any longer, so they book the Clara Lake Chalet and head back to where their romance began for a small, intimate wedding with friends and family, just 10 days away. With the help of their best friends, Megan and Sean, Kara and Ben feel nothing can stop them from having the perfect wedding. And so I loved both of the previous 2 films. I thought they were great. One Winter Wedding and One Winter Proposal. So good. I love both couples so much. And I'm normally not the biggest wedding movie person because I don't like bridezillas and that whole thing. It can get really selfish really quick.
Yeah.
But this, I trust these characters, and I love Taylor Cole. I love Ricky Bernard. The whole thing. So I'm very excited. This one's getting 4 flowers for me.
I think I'm going to give this one 4 flowers as well because we already know the characters.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. I think wedding movies can be so difficult to play off, which I personally saw in a previous wedding film that premiered in 2021. But being so, we don't have to worry about them getting to know each other on top of like the wedding planning and all of that. Like you take out all those extra layers. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think so too. Very excited. All right. Next, we have As Luck Would Have It. And this is Joanna Garcia Swisher. And this is Joanna Garcia Swisher. And shoot, I just lost. So this is Joanna Garcia Swisher and Alan Leach and directed by Claire Niederprum and written by Christine Conrad and Audrey Schulman. And it is Lindsay travels to Ireland to acquire land that is perfect for a resort. She decides to enter the town's world-renowned matchmaking festival to prove her investment in the community and win over the handsome local. This was filmed in Ireland. And at first I was pretty skeptical of Claire Niederprum because I absolutely hated her version of Little Women that she did. but but I have to say her career with Hallmark has been pretty good. She's had a pretty good run with Hallmark. She's done the oh gosh, where director, sorry. So she has done The Christmas Bow, which was one of my favorites of last year. She did Holiday for Heroes, which was good. Love Fallen Order was fun. And so she's had a pretty good run of Hallmark movies. So that gives me confidence. I love Joanna Garcia. Was a big Reba fan. And I was a huge Sweet Magnolias fan last year.
Mhm.
Can't wait for season 2. So that's big. And I think this plot sounds really cute of her being in this matchmaking festival. And Alan Leach, huge Downton Abbey fan. So all those things make me very excited.
I mean, throwing it back even further, I was like, she was in Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon when I was a kid. I love it.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this one. I think I might also give this one 4 flowers.
So what's keeping it from being 5 flowers for you?
Well, there's only 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. So 4 is our top.
So
okay.
This is top flowers.
Well, it's like checking off all the flower qualifications for you.
It really is. I mean, it's got proven talent. It's got a great cast. It's shot in Ireland. And it sounds like a charming story in this matchmaking festival. So I don't know. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Pumped. So I'm gonna give it 3 flowers.
Uh-huh.
But I'm hoping to be, swept off my feet and like excited. I have a lot of hopes because it is a destination movie. It's set in Ireland. I love when a character is like going to purchase some new land or they inherited something. She wants to turn it into a resort. So I know that's going to cause some tension. And then the matchmaking element sounds like it's going to be fun. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last one in this set is Right in Front of Me is what it's called, and stars Janelle Parrish and Marco Grazzini. And of course, Janelle was in Holly and Ivy, which was so good. Yeah. And then Marco Grazzini was in Lone Star Christmas, and he was very swoon-worthy in that over on Lifetime. And so that put him on my radar. And this is directed by Linda Lisa Hayter, who we love. She did the Christmas and Evergreen movie last year and also did Cranberry Christmas.
Oh, two of my favorites.
I know.
I loved those. Oh, that Christmas and Evergreen was like topping on the cake. I love that series.
And then it's written by Julie Sherman Wolfe, who is one of our favorites. And we love her. And so it's got a lot of check. Okay. But the plot, Carly gets a second chance at romance with her college crush, but isn't sure how to impress him until her new friend Nick starts giving her advice. Soon she learns who the right man for her really is. And the thing I think that sounds interesting about this is that I'm guessing that the new friend is going to be the actual love interest.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
In the end to this, kind of a Cyrano type thing. And usually when you meet the high school love, high school boyfriend kind of a thing, or college crush, that's usually who you end up with in these movies. But here, I don't think that's going to be the case. So that's going to be good. And I think that I can just picture Marco Grazzini being really smooth, and charming, and so that makes me excited. So I'm pretty excited about this. What about you?
So this one, I'm giving 4 flowers to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so like it's kind of like with the My Secret Valentine, like you're getting to know somebody that you already know, but you don't know that you're getting to know them, kind of thing. Like that's how I feel
Yeah.
about this one. Like you're gonna realize that your person is the person that's giving you advice to get another person, and I just
Yeah.
think it's gonna be really sweet. So
And hopefully she won't be all mean about him like they are in Secret Valentine.
I know, except the mean part, right?
That's right. Uh, I agree. 4 flowers. I'm very looking forward to it. So I have high expectations for this season. I think it's a good, especially the 4 that are actual Hallmark movies. Chasing Waterfalls is an acquisition, so it's not going to be on the same quality for the most part.
Okay.
Although there are some good acquisitions, like I loved for Lifetime Channel. I loved Christmas Perfection a couple of years ago. I don't know if you ever seen that,
No, I
but it's
haven't.
absolutely hilarious. It's another one set in Ireland. Well, she wakes up in her Irish Christmas village with like the perfect Christmas. It's so good. I loved it. It was so funny. And I like these ones a lot of times that can bring in a little of that humor.
Okay.
That's some of my favorites. Anyway, all right, let's move on real quick to the mystery. So we have Aurora Teagarden, How to Con a Con. Pretty good title.
I love it.
Yeah. And of course, this stars CCB, Mary Lou Henner, Niall Mater, director Tony Dean Smith, and writer Tina Booth. And it's when Aida Teagarden's real estate client is found murdered, her sleuthing daughter Aurora sets out with her fiance Nick and the Real Murders Club to solve the murder. So this one they have Aida pretty big on the poster. So our friend Mary Lou Henner, who is really great. I think she's going to have a pretty big role in this one.
Yeah, she was like she did not seem into it. Like, Ro, we're not doing this. And I was like, yeah,
Don't.
right.
I mean, I would be upset. I mean, I have never seen a dead body in my life. And you think of how many Aurora has seen at this
Yeah.
point, of how many people she knows that have ended up dead.
And isn't it like most of these cozy mysteries, they take place in these really small, beautiful little towns.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, the small towns are like obviously pretty dangerous.
I mean, I would not be a member of the Real Murders Club. I think it's bad omens. It's not good. I wouldn't do it. But I do think this sounds fun. We're getting closer to the wedding, so that's fun. And so I'm going to give this 3 flowers.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 flowers just because I have not watched any of the other movies.
Honestly.
But I'm going to watch this one and then we'll just have to backtrack.
Good. Okay, then we have Mystery 101 Killer Timing. Ooh. And this stars Jill Wagner, Christopher Ploa, Preston Vanderslythe, and new to the cast is Erin Cahill as an investigator. And we love Erin Cahill on the podcast. Of course we do. She's a delight. And so that's going to be a fun group together. I wish I could be on that set. It's going to be fun with that group. Really good. And the plot is an escaped serial killer and an attempt on Travis's life make their most dangerous case yet, as Amy and Travis team up with his FBI agent X to find the connection before it's too late. So you haven't seen any of these either, correct?
No, girl, but it's getting 4 flowers because I love Jill Wagner and I love Erin Cahill. And the clip that you sent me, I was like, this could easily turn into How Dramatic Can We Be? Because Erin Cahill plays like his ex-wife, right?
Yeah.
But she's like this super bad but FBI agent. And like, it seems more like 2 women that are just like, hey girl, y'all seem good together. Like keep it going. So I'm excited.
Me too. I am very looking forward to it. They've all been really good, and Jill and Christopher have such nice chemistry that it just works together with them, whether they're figuring out the case or it's more about their relationship kind of building. I think that really works. And so I will agree with you. Give it 4 flowers. So there we
Yay!
go. We did it. We
We did
previewed
it.
the Spring Fling coverage. And so let us know what your flower rating is for all of these films. We would love to hear in the comments section. And so Bree, where can people find you and all of your content?
I am most active over on Instagram at Falling for Romance. And in my bio, I have a link tree where you can find all the other places that you can find me. So that's the best place.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So make sure to check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening or watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patron group, and we are going to be having for our patron watch along this month. We are going to be having Paul Campbell as our guest, which is going to be incredible. We still have a date to announce that, but we're going to be watching Surprised by Love. So if you're interested, make sure to check out our Patreon. This will be a really great chance for you to ask Paul any questions about the movie and have a really cool experience. And so that's what we give you every month with our Patreon. And it's only $2 a month to participate. So check that out in the Patreon. We have the link in the description. And then we also have our merch store, which has tons of fun Hallmark inspired designs. And so check that out. And thanks so much, Bree. This was great to meet you and to have you here on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I love what you ladies do. So keep it up.
Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.